Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening to the Quality Hub, Chatting with ISO Experts. I'm your host, Xavier Francis, and today we're going to be speaking with several of our past guests. We have Lori Engle, Director of Marketing, Renee Ferry, Customer Success Manager, and Kevin Metz, Sales and Business Development Manager, all here from CORE. We will be discussing how ISO certifications can drive market success and business growth. Now let's start off with Lori. So Lori, how do ISO certifications differentiate businesses in today's market?
Businesses today, more than ever, really need a reliable partner for their supply chain. And promoting their ISO 9001 certification or even working toward that compliance demonstrates the commitment to your customers that you care about customer satisfaction, you care about quality and continuous improvement. And that can really help differentiate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, since COVID, I know that supply chain's just all over the place. It doesn't even seem to matter what market you're in. And having a partner with a quality management system in place can really help, show that that's important, that you care about what you're getting out to your customers.
Oh, for sure. COVID certainly disrupted the supply chain, and the supply chain still has not recovered. In order to gain contracts or get into other product lines, customers need the extra assurance that the quality is going to be there for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so having a QMS in place is certainly helpful for that.
Absolutely. So continuing back on, what else can help differentiate yourself in the marketplace?
Well, one of the things you can do is talk about how you're ISO certified to prospective clients and the benefits they receive from your organization implementing a quality management system.
What are some of those?
Well, there are many. On-time delivery is super important. Order fulfillment, making sure that you deliver orders that are complete so that their production can continue without disruption. Having fewer errors and more reliable products and services.
The quality, right?
Yeah. And especially if you're a service organization, errors, it's important to reduce those.
Yeah, and it's probably going to cost you money if there's...
Right. And then, of course, reducing lead times. That saves your organization money, and sometimes those savings can be passed on to your customers. Basically, whatever benefits you're creating from your QMS and continuous improvement are benefits to your customer. And
absolutely.
Then ultimately, if your net promoter score, which is how happy your customers are, it's a measurement of that.
Okay.
If they're willing to refer you to another customer, that is the highest form of praise and customer satisfaction that you can have.
That word of mouth.
Right. So the higher your net promoter score, the higher level of customer satisfaction, which is the ultimate goal of an ISO 9001 quality management system.
So now, Renee, let's look beyond marketing and at how businesses maintain their ISO certifications year after year.
We say it all the time, in its purest form, going through the ISO process is not just to hang a certificate on the wall. And becoming certified is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of a story.
Absolutely.
Going through the certification process focuses on creating documents and materials, processes, and essentially establishing a management system. Then comes the job of implementing the new management system throughout the organization and creating a culture of continuous improvement.
It really should be way more than just a certificate on the wall.
And also not to be taken too lightly, successful management systems are those that have leadership and upper management involved. It sets the tone for the whole company. Those that don't have leadership and upper management engaged may struggle a bit more. The other more common challenge is maintaining the certification from year to year. If a customer doesn't do anything to keep the management system up to date and running, a year goes by in a blink, and customers often find themselves in the position where they don't have the requirements in place in preparation for the annual external audit with their registrar. Some of those things are things like internal audits, management reviews, periodic approvals of their documents and materials. We support our customers not just through the initial certification process, but offer ongoing levels of consulting support to maintain their certifications from year to year, to include assisting with the activities that need to be accomplished throughout the year.
Now, Kevin, it's not just about maintaining certifications. How can businesses use their ISO standards strategically to grow and improve?
All management systems can, provide value in the customer acquisition process. The better question normally is how to identify the management system that's going to help more effectively attract new customers for you.
Okay.
This can be weighed with a lot of different factors. Sometimes it's, the business size, the industry you're in, or just your level of investment.
Okay. Does that also maybe where they want to go, what their long-term goals are?
Exactly. Yep. Where you want to go as a business, how invested you are today into getting these things in place, because that can dictate how much time you have to put into it.
Gotcha.
I always like to say this is my golden nugget, my golden rule when I kind of talk to a customer or a prospect. It's quality is the language that speaks to all. At the end of the day, everyone understands that. They understand it's a foundational piece to their business, and it's a foundational piece to these management systems in this landscape. A quality management system, it can oftentimes be a requirement or a barrier to entry for businesses and getting more work. We see it in most industries, such as government contracting, manufacturing, distributors, service-based companies. I mean, you can name any industry in it, quality plays a part.
So, Kevin, some companies will get involved in government contracting to grow their business. What challenges do you see that comes along with looking into the government space when it comes to getting new business?
One of the biggest challenges that business can face with that is going to be points and competency requirements. In a lot of contract vehicles, they have a point system in place that helps to determine what level of competency they'll be at for the contract vehicle. One of the most common ways to build your points in this case is to add certifications to the company's bid.
Okay.
That's where ISO and other industry standards come in, and where core, we come into play and find ourselves helping a lot of businesses.
So oftentimes the more certifications you have, the better your score.
Yeah, absolutely. Most commonly, you'll find a 9001 CMMI as kind of the top, certifications referred to in government contracts. But what you're going to find is that every contract is different. There are a lot of different contracts that are going to require different standards. We've seen contracts that put an emphasis on ISO 14001 and 45001, and then other contracts where they put emphasis on ISO 27001 and 20000-1.
So, Kevin, how can smaller businesses or startups with limited resources pursue ISO certification?
Spending money on, consulting services and with companies like ourselves is probably the most effective way for small businesses, startups, companies with limited resources to go about it.
Right.
And the reason for that is because, one, that's what we do, right? That's our focus. That's our business. We live in this space and we understand it. But two, you're really looking at it from the time saving and the money saving that you're going to have because of what resources you're going to have to allocate to doing it internally.
Okay.
For, the time that you're taking people away from their day-to-day jobs, what kind of money you're losing from them not focusing on their tier A, position, requirements.
Now, what about if you lose your certification? Does that affect you at all?
The government doesn't play around, right? They're immediately, once they get notified that you no longer have that certificate, they'll boot you off of the contract. So you need to be smart about what you're doing. And that's why, we're very focused on building a system that works for our customers. That should be with anything you're doing for the government. You need to make sure it's ingrained into who you are as a company and really focusing on making that your identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do have an example. I have a customer that hired a new chief technology officer.
Okay.
Who I had met at an event. And they were certified to all of the standards. They were certified to 9, CMMI, 27, and 20. And he was just fairly new to the organization. And they had all those things in place. And he reached out to me probably within weeks of meeting me to let me know that once he had gotten in and started to dig through this, he discovered that the registrar that they had used was outside of the country and was not valid. And so they live in that government contracting space. And so they very quickly needed to get valid certifications for all of those standards. Wow. And our teams worked together very diligently and in as quick a period of time as possible, kind of moved them through that process to get everything set up in place. He knew that they were not going to be able to continue to participate in that GovCon space with that situation.
Now back to Lori. We know that with effective marketing and continuous improvement, ISO standards don't just improve operations, but they help to grow revenue. Do you have any success stories in that regard?
Actually, there's one organization in particular that first got their ISO 9001 certification because the supply chain expected it.
So they needed to get it
Right.
if they wanted to keep going.
Right. It was a customer requirement. But then they added ISO 27001 for information security management system. And they added that to prove that they were committed to cybersecurity because they wanted to get into the cybersecurity marketplace.
Okay.
And they wanted to show that they're protecting their customer data. And they were able to grow their business by 20% by just adding that certification and diversifying their customer base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's incredible. 20%. That's it. Just by adding one other standard to what they're doing. That's great. Are there any details that we should revisit as we look forward and plan?
Everything that you do in business can be paralleled in the ISO world. So say you're going to launch a new product, right, in a new market, you would evaluate if there are any new standards that your company should secure to give you a competitive edge in that marketplace. If you're getting into, say, medical devices or something like that, and you haven't manufactured that before, you may want to consider the ISO 13485 standard as an example. And then making sure that you include information about the new standard, if you do get certified, in your company branding and things of that nature.
I've got several customers that start out with a 9001 or a CMMI, and they've kind of spread out the standards over time. So they keep coming back and say, okay, now I want to add the next certification. Now I want to add the next standard. Now I want to act. And this is fabulous for us because our goal has never been to just start and end the project. It's always our goal to be our customer's partner on their journey to certifications.
Right.
And so that spans over a long period of time. We have customers that we've worked with for almost 20 years over time in different programs and also with services throughout the year that they need. Sometimes a lot of our companies don't have time for internal audits. We go in and we'll assist them with those types of services. But the success that I've seen is that these customers continue to come back and build into their certifications, their standard certification portfolio. And to me, that's great success.
Yeah, that is
I'll
absolutely success.
also say that it's success for not just us, but for the customer as well.
Absolutely.
Because they now have a partner that they trust to go through this process with. They have somebody to turn to when there's something new that they need to do in order to best position themselves. So it's really a win-win.
Yeah.
And I always like to highlight that, we're very focused on the win-win.
Well, it really does show how ISO standards taken seriously can lead to growth of your bottom line.
We really appreciate all of our guests today, and we hope that you, our listeners, have gained some valuable knowledge. Now, if you're looking for more information about core business solutions and how we can help you with ISO certification, cybersecurity, or even customized training, please email us at info@thecoresolution.com. You can also visit our website at www.thecoresolution.com. And if you haven't already followed us on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube channel, be sure to do so. That way you won't miss the next Quality Hub podcast when it's released next week. Have a great day.